I find no basis for a charge against this man. Why? What crime has he done? I find no basis for a charge against him, and neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. I think it's said at least 4 times in these verses that Herod found, or that Pilate found no reason for Jesus to be put to death. No charge deserving of death. In fact, no charge at all. What if it had been you and me on trial and the judge was God? Could God have said, I find no basis for a charge against this man? Oh, not at all. In fact, just the opposite, huh? Well, Jesus was incredibly calm and dignified in the face of trial. How often haven't I been nothing but uncalm? Is uncalm a word? We'll go with it tonight. And undignified, lashing out. While Jesus completely and totally bent to the will of his Father no matter what it took, how often haven't I fought the will of my Father by refusing to do his will? While Jesus showed perfect love for everyone, even his enemies, how often I haven't failed to love my neighbor as myself. Maybe even failed to show love to those who are closest to me. Basis for charges against this man? Oh man. Over and over and over again. And so if God, the judge, were going to be fair, what would he have to say? He would have to say, I find the man to be worthy of death. Oh, Jesus wasn't, but Tom is. That Tom is too. Sorry. Sorry. That's the truth. And I would guarantee that for y'all sitting here tonight, that I've said absolutely nothing new to you. True? If I'd asked each one of you when you walked into worship this evening, do you believe that you're a sinful human being? I think that the answer I would have gotten from each one of you would have been a very quick, oh, absolutely, I know I'm a sinful human being. But I wonder, my brothers and sisters, do we sometimes fail to realize the gravity of what that means? Do we sometimes fail to realize what a huge thing this is? I deserve to die in hell forever and ever and ever. I deserve nothing from God except punishment, and I deserve that forever. And I hate to say it, but I've deserved that from the moment I was conceived, and I re-earned that punishment on a day-to-day basis. He's deserving of death. That's the horrid truth. And yet something absolutely amazing happened on Calvary, didn't it? His death is replaced with life. I can't help but mourning as I look at Jesus and I see what all this cost Jesus. Can you imagine the humiliation of being put on trial in this way? Wow. Can you imagine the humiliation of being put up on stage with a guy like Barabbas and the choices between you and Barabbas? Really? Do y'all want the murderer, rebellious guy, or do you want Jesus? Oh. Can you imagine the horror when the crowd said, we want Barabbas? The feeling of sadness, of pain? Can Can you imagine the humiliation of standing before King Herod, who dresses you up like some sort of a crazy king because you won't do tricks for him? It was my sins that cost Jesus all that stuff. He is guilty of death. He is worthy of death. And yet, what did Jesus do? He walked through every bit of it. As he walked through every bit of it, he did it with impeccable dignity, never lashing out. As he did it with incredible patience. He continued to love his neighbor as himself. He continued to honor his God with everything he had. And did every bit of that, my brothers and sisters, for you and for me. Life was there on Calvary. Because God's judgment was satisfied. Crazily enough, it was meted out against the guy who didn't deserve it. The one who wasn't worthy of death got death. So that the ones who were worthy of death get life. And so can you imagine? On that most amazing of days, when you and I stand before God the Father, our judge, he's going to say, I find no basis for a charge against this one. Why? What crime has he committed? None. Not in my eyes. And your amazing, gracious God will welcome you into life. Life that's eternal. And why? Because life was there on Calvary. Amen and amen.